When I have an idea of what you're going to spend and have an idea of what your check average you want it to be, so then you know what your sales track is like the next year, 2 or 3 years, to be able to pay back those investments that you have.
Chef Lamar, what advice would you give to someone opening their first place? And what are the top 3 things that they need to focus on?
First thing is just going to be the easy one, but it's not so easy. Make sure you have enough money in the bank. Because you're going to face things that you don't know. So I'm going to twist this a little bit, not make it too long. I was very fortunate because I had what I call a turnkey. Turnkey is I walked into space, it was already set up. So I didn't have to pay for equipment. I didn't have to pay for tables, chairs, and I didn't have to deal with construction. So I bypassed half of what you would go through to open a restaurant. I tell a lot of guests I'm crazy. I opened this restaurant in 47 days. That's the other piece. So imagine the stress behind that. Yeah, because we're crazy. We do stuff like that. But there's a reason why I did that. I knew I had to either open before the holiday or after, because you have a different type of guest that comes in. So it's being that. It is having the structure in place to open the restaurant, meaning I had already hired a suit, I had a GM. Those are my essential pieces to build up the space. And then my partners, right? The menu was already set and I could then work on the menu. But when I look at the money that's needed, I took that times 2, because what happened? One of my ovens blew out, so I had to get a thermocouple fixed. One of my toilets blew out. My ice machine went out. I didn't know these things were going to happen. So my point in that is that you got to have enough money to budget and buffer for that. But you also have to look at, as a business owner, how do you pay your bills? How do you pay your employees? And right now we're at the slowest peak. And I got posted in my stories earlier yesterday about how the first 2 weeks is a struggle.
Saw that.
So your sales are not going to be as high as it is. And you have to have enough cushion to make sure your team stays intact while you're going through what we call that restaurant bleed, as we get to, we know what February and March and April looks like, and to then build up to that so that you have the money to build up to that staff. So it's having the right amount of money and capital, but also looking at what that looks like, what that capital raise looks like too, or if you have to raise again as you open up those spaces. So that capital is super important. And then having the financial structure. Have a damn accountant. I want to reiterate again. I am a chef. I know how to count very well, but guess what? I'm a professional chef, not a professional accountant, not a professional marketeer, not a professional plumber, not a professional engineer, not a professional electrician. I said it to everybody. I grew up in a space where I can go back in and fix that. My time and more value to making sure that the food in the restaurant operates. Also build in a maintenance plan, because I'm telling you, when it hits the fan and it's a Friday night and your oven goes out, if your maintenance plan ain't built in, after 4 p.m. it's overtime. That's $150 an hour, plus their travel, plus the equipment that you're not going to be able to get installed until Monday when you're off. And now you can't use that equipment. You had to pay double because you can't get the food to the guests the right way.
Yep.
So that's my simplification on trying to open a restaurant.
Plan.
And also knowing, and the last thing is to have a budget and a P&L in place. Have an idea of what you're going to spend and have an idea of what your check average you want it to be, so then you know what your sales track is going to like the next year, 2 or 3 years, to be able to pay back those investments that you have.
Know your damn numbers, people.
That part.